Hi you guys, so I'm coming at you today with what is undoubtedly a long overdue beauty product video. So today I'm going to be talking about this guy right here. This is the new MAC Cosmetics Hyper Real Foundation. I purchased it in the color Rose Gold. I'm going to say right off the bat here that calling this a foundation is a complete misnomer. Even the MAC rep at the Ulta store where I purchased this referred to it as a bronzer. But there are a couple different ways that you can wear this. I've been playing with it for a few days. So way number one, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into this, is to mix it with your moisturizer and get it on underneath your foundation. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that so you can see what we're dealing with here. I've got my Clinique Pep Start. This is my daily sunscreen, SPF 50. I've been using it all summer long and I'm pretty obsessed with it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and get some of the MAC product here as well. Maybe look at a little bit more than that so you can kind of really get a good impression of what we're doing here. Okay, maybe too much, maybe too much. Okay, so there on the top of my finger I've got the Clinique, and then the rest of this mess here is going to be the bronzer. So I'm just going to mix it together and show you what it does in terms of bronzing effect. So you can see it's definitely giving me a crazy glow. And this is actually the reason why I selected the rose gold color, because on my skin the rose gold is just very dewy without looking, I don't know, overdone. So there's one shade that they have that's like a violet sort of a shade. Sorry, I have a fan on over here because these lights are flipping hot. And that violet shade, when I swatched it on my hand, there was so much white cast. I thought even with foundation over it, I was just gonna look like I was like, you know, reflecting any light in a 6-mile radius. So I actually think that if you were gonna just wear it like this, just to go out really quick, run some errands for a lazy Saturday, you could call it foundation and just leave it. But for me, being an oily skinned gal, if I put on setting powder, it kind of automatically diminishes that glow. So I felt like, okay, not so much really pursuing that look, didn't really work for me. So I'm going to go ahead and put on foundation over top of this. I'm going to be using my Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, just an oldie but a goodie there. I'm in the color Ecru 1 and 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this on. I will also tell you while I'm doing this bit that when I first tried the MAC product and mixed it with the foundation instead of putting it on under the foundation, my foundation didn't like how it mixed, I guess I would say. So my foundation didn't set up very well. It got kind of cakey actually when I mixed it with the Hyper Real. So putting it over top works a little bit better, but as you'll see in a second here, again, I feel like it really downplays the glow that we had a second ago. I think maybe my sunless tanner is doing its job because my usual color is making me look real white. But either way, as you can see, that glow that was there a second ago is pretty much gone now. Now granted, the Double Wear is a pretty full coverage foundation, but generally most of my foundations are. I'm not really into mid to light coverage foundations, so maybe if you are, this would be a better way for you to apply. So the favorite way that I came up with to use this is reminiscent of this guy, which you might remember. I did a video about this. This was the Marc Jacobs coconut something or other highlighter, the Do You Dewdrops. And this is very highly pigmented, bright gold liquid highlighter. Super fun. I actually really enjoyed it. But I got several comments on that video talking about, people had said they'd heard that it felt really heavy. Other people that I talked to, other videos that I watched, said they thought it was too thick, too much of a glow. So what I started doing was using the MAC product in the same technique that I used on the Marc Jacobs, and it provided the same look with a much more natural sort of glow. So kind of just got a little bit on my finger here, like this, and then again, before we're putting any powder on, so we're still in the liquid phase, I kind of was just putting it wherever I would put liquid highlighters, or powder highlighters for that matter. And then you can either go in with dabs, you can use a beauty blender, you can like start blending with a brush and then dab it out as you see fit. I really do like the beauty blender, but you end up kind of needing to layer it more, I think, because the beauty blender does soak more of it up, but it also makes it look a little bit smoother than your fingertips or a brush does. So what I'm hoping is coming out in that light there is that as I'm adding it back into these spots, that glow that I had when it was just the Hyper Real and my moisturizer is building back up. And what I like about it is it actually is, to me, more of a glow, kind of that lit from within ethereal look that I feel like every company under the sun has been trying to up their game on for the past couple of years while highlighters have been in the spotlight. But it does it without being as over the top as maybe some people might feel the Marc Jacobs is. And again, too, this rose gold is really well suited to my skin. I mentioned the lavender tinted sort of white cast one that they had, and then they had one that was like a very soft, warmer gold, like a champagne, and then they had one that was darker than this, which was more of a, I guess I would call it like a dark gold, almost bronze. And I didn't want to go for that one either because I thought that I might just look like I had a glowy sunburn. So there you can definitely see I'm getting the glow back a bit, but it's still very subdued. You can build it up, you can sort of play with it and do things like that. So my next tip on this product, because I learned this the hard way too, my usual setting powder is just in the purse I took out last night. Take two here. My usual setting powder is just this Maybelline Fit Me powder in porcelain or whatever color I pick, classic ivory. And I usually just really like this. It's a very simple powder. However, because it has a slight tint to it, it really just will immediately matte over the glow that we just now recreated. So I switched back to this guy, which I've still had. I honestly don't even know if they make this powder anymore, but it's just any translucent, loose setting powder. This one is by Too Faced called Primed and Poreless Powder. I've had this one for ages and I really do still love it. And that fan is probably going to blow this powder everywhere. I like it because I feel like even when I sweep this on over the glowy spots, it definitely mattes it up a little bit, but you can still see where the glow is. Whereas when I use just my usual Maybelline setting powder, any matte pressed powder, I think we would have the same problem. It just completely covered it up. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this guy. Ultimately, it's fine. I'm really struggling with the fact that unless you really are just gonna throw it on with some moisturizer to go out with an all over facial glow, I feel like when you use your normal makeup products, it's just going to get too mattified underneath everything else. I would honestly suggest save your money and invest in something more like the Marc Jacobs, because with this one, I felt like no matter how bold I put this one on, my powder wasn't going to cover it up. So this one would mix with other cosmetics products over the top of it, kind of continue to do its job. So that was my preference. So the way that I finish my face, and I'm not gonna make you sit through that whole thing, I'll go ahead and I'll put on my bronzer. I will still put on a touch of a powder highlight over top of these gleamy spots just to kind of accentuate them a little bit more, because I like that. But if you don't, if you want an almost barely there glow, this is a product for you 100%. So it's just personal preference. But I wanted to show you what I've been playing with, what I thought about it, and I think that's about it. So thank you for watching. I am going to be bringing beauty videos back in more regularly. In fact, I have 2 new foundations on their way in the mail for me to do one of my foundation wear tests. Well, 2 of my foundation wear tests, 1 for each of them. So keep an eye out for that. It's so good to be back doing these videos, and I will see you in my next one.